I do think that she's a bit delusional here, and also like maybe the slightest bit disrespectful, because I mean, I don't know.
The WNBA wasn't ready. Not for the moment. Not for the movement. And certainly not for Caitlin Clark. They should have been. The writing was on every wall, plastered across every headline, and echoing through every packed arena from Iowa to Indiana. Christine Brennan, one of the most respected sports journalists in the country, watched it all unfold with a mix of astonishment and exasperation. And when she finally decided to speak out, she didn't just report a story. She detonated one. Brennan's bombshell exposé didn't trickle through polite press conferences or get lost in fluffy athlete profiles. It hit like a seismic jolt through the WNBA's core, exposing a league asleep at the wheel while the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history walked through the front door. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another star. She was a revolution waiting to happen, and instead of embracing it, the WNBA ducked for cover.
He wants to know, what is the end score if you and Josh play 1-on-1 to 11, your ball first?
The roots of the chaos run deep. According to Brennan, the league's leadership wasn't simply unprepared. They were willfully blind. Despite the national obsession with Clark's time at Iowa, despite soaring TV ratings and a cult-like fanbase that dwarfed anything the WNBA had seen, the response from inside league offices was tepid at best. One executive, asked to weigh in on Clark's draft declaration, could muster only that she was the biggest thing since Maya Moore. Respect to Moore, a legend no doubt, but that's like comparing a tsunami to a gentle tide. Caitlin Clark was bigger than the league had ever seen. And they acted like they hadn't noticed. Brennan, who's covered everyone from Tiger Woods to Serena Williams, understood immediately what too many insiders ignored. Caitlin wasn't just going to play in the WNBA, she was going to transform it.
No. What do you mean?
Now, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking.
But instead of rolling out the red carpet, the league fumbled the moment at every turn. No aggressive media rollout. No blockbuster campaigns. No attempt to leverage the attention Clark generated from coast to coast. Just silence. A stunning, embarrassing silence. What Brennan uncovered was more than just incompetence, it was resentment. Beneath the surface of the WNBA's supposed unity, she found jealousy, bitterness, and an ingrained resistance to change. Players who had been grinding for years watched as a white woman from Iowa became the face of the league in a matter of weeks. And instead of seeing her rise as a gift, a rising tide that could lift all boats, they viewed her as a threat. The result? Clark became a lightning rod. Flagrant fouls. Cold shoulders. Dismissive soundbites from veteran players and legends alike. Referees started swallowing their whistles. Coaches lashed out in pressers. The media, once eager to tell stories of growth and breakthrough, pivoted to hand-wringing over Clark's visibility. Was she too famous? Too celebrated? Too white? Brennan doesn't shy away from the hard truths. In a league that's over 70% black, Clark's sudden stardom triggered uncomfortable conversations about race, access, and long-standing inequalities. But instead of leading with vision and clarity, the WNBA's leadership froze. And players followed suit. Some of the most iconic names in the sport, Diana Taurasi, Cheryl Reeve, even Cheryl Swoops, took jabs, questioning Clark's legitimacy, her game, her impact. It wasn't constructive criticism. It was pure, unfiltered insecurity. Yet even with all the hostility, Clark kept showing up and showing out. Her arrival in Indiana sparked a fan frenzy that league officials clearly hadn't prepared for. During her very first preseason appearance, fans were wrapped around the arena hours before tip-off. Ticket prices skyrocketed. Merch flew off shelves. TV networks saw viewership spikes the likes of which women's basketball had never seen. She was a phenomenon in real time. And still, the WNBA dragged its feet. Instead of championing Clark and using her momentum to spotlight other players, the league seemed to want her to fade quietly into the background. As if pretending she was just another rookie would make the noise go away. It was a bizarre act of self-sabotage, one that Brennan's book rips apart with ruthless precision. She tells of how the league, terrified of disrupting the status quo, clung to its outdated marketing strategies. Big moments were buried in bad time slots. Jersey releases were bungled. Sponsorship opportunities were missed. They acted less like a league on the verge of a global breakthrough and more like a startup panicking at the thought of sudden success. And while Brennan doesn't deny the complexity of Clark's arrival, the racial dynamics, the generational clash, the tension between old guard and new blood, she makes one thing painfully clear. Success isn't supposed to be this hard. Clark brought in millions of new fans. She made people care about the WNBA. She injected adrenaline into a league that had long been ignored. And instead of gratitude, she got grief. The most damning part? Brennan shows how this wasn't just a missed opportunity, it was an active choice. League executives had all the data. They saw the numbers. They watched the same performances we all did. But they chose to pretend it wasn't happening. They chose petty politics over progress. And in doing so, they sent a message not just to Clark, but to every young fan watching: we'd rather keep things the way they were. There were endless chances to course correct. The league could have created dynamic rivalries that lifted both Clark and her competitors. They could have used the controversy around her to spark larger, more inclusive conversations about race and visibility in women's sports. They could have made her the centerpiece of a multi-year strategy that turned the WNBA into a household name. Instead, they played defense against their own future. What Brennan exposes isn't just dysfunction. It's fear. A fear of being seen. A fear of letting go. A fear of success that doesn't look like the struggle they're used to. The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation star drop into their lap. And instead of grabbing the moment, they resented it. And yet, the Clark effect rolls on. TV numbers continue to soar. Her games are sellouts. Jersey sales are record-breaking. She's introduced millions of new fans to women's basketball, many of them for the first time. And all of it happened despite the league's best efforts to minimize her. That's the power Brennan captures in her reporting. Not just the rise of Caitlin Clark, but the absolute collapse of those who should have been ready to meet that rise with open arms. In the end, this isn't just a WNBA story. It's a cautionary tale. A case study in what happens when fear outweighs foresight. When jealousy trumps strategy. When the gatekeepers forget what the gates were built for. The WNBA could have had it all. They still can. But only if they recognize that the future doesn't wait for anyone. Not even for those too scared to see it standing right in front of them. So what do you think? Is this a case of jealousy or incompetence? Should the league have done more to protect and promote Caitlin Clark, or is this just the growing pain of progress? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this unfolding saga. Because if Christine Brennan's reporting has taught us anything, it's that this story is far from over.